But somebody has to lose this game. And I also don't want people to extrapolate one sample size game, one game, into the entire careers for both of these players.
You're tuned in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, guiding your gridiron journey, none other than your host, former NFL lineman, Ross Tucker.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's not just any Ross Tucker Football Podcast. It is a Finish Strong Friday, a Picks Friday, a Winners Friday edition of the mighty RTFP presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. I'm Ross Tucker. I'm a former NFL offensive lineman, and if you can't tell, I am fired up for arguably the best weekend in pro football, the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. I mean, I'm always fired up, but especially fired up when we got these 4 epic games coming up. Although, interestingly, 3 of them, there's a pretty significant underdog. So let's hope we get close games. Would not be shocked if one of the underdogs wins. It's hard to pick which one that will be. We'll see if I have one a little bit later in the show. Finish Strong Fridays because it's super important to me that you guys finish the work week strong so that you feel good about what you accomplished this week for your family all weekend. You're going to be hopefully watching 4 football games or listening maybe because I'll be on the call for Westwood One tomorrow. Texans Chiefs with Kevin Harlan. So if you're driving around 4:30 to 7:30 Eastern time, please check out your boy. Feel free to record a video or screenshot, send it to me at Ross Tucker NFL, which I love. So that's the Finish Strong part. The Picks Friday part, self-explanatory. I'll make my pick for every game a little bit later in the show. The Winners Friday. Yes, I did remember to reward those of you that go the extra mile for the show. How about the Spread the Word winner, Charles Chucks Marinan, who quote posted one of our clips from the Andrew Brandt show on Tuesday at Ross Tucker Pod. Charles reposted it, quote posted it with a running backs matter meme. I love it, Charles, that you're a winner. Same with the sponsor confirmation email winner, Brent Hunt. Used the Game Time app code Ross to take his son to a Broncos game, and he sent me a picture. It's incredible. I absolutely love it. Love, love, love anytime you guys can take advantage of it. His kid's adorable, by the way. But Brent, you're the winner, man. Love that you took advantage of the Game Time code Ross to take your son to his first ever Broncos game. That's just so cool. And then finally, the YouTube shout-out winner, youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL is Albert Archer. As a reminder, you just got to send me an email now, ross@rosstucker.com if you are one of the winners, because that way I know what to send you. And I can send you something in the mail, or for the YouTube shout-out winner, I can go ahead and give you a shout-out video, which I love. Got 2 things today. Got an excellent guest in Mike Golic Jr. And I think I want to talk more about the teams that lost last weekend. You know, we previewed these games with Nate Tice Wednesday, with Greg Cosell Thursday. I'm going to pick them later in the game. I kind of feel like we, on some level, since there was no power rankings this week, we kind of gave short shrift to the teams that ended up having their seasons end last weekend. So I got Gojo on the show before my picks and a little bit of news. Gojo, of course, is presented by Labatt Blue Light. Drink some Labatt Blue Lights with your friends. Live life to the power of we. Always enjoy it responsibly. It's delicious beer made by Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York. It's Big Show time.
The Big Show.
We are joined once again by one of my favorite guys in the media. Probably comes on 2, maybe 3 times a year. I certainly go on his show pretty much whenever he asks, whenever I'm available. Gojo and Golic, which is 2 hours every morning on the DK network. It's fantastic. Love both those guys. Very, very bright, well-spoken young man. We've told the story before about me meeting him when he was like a true freshman maybe, or going into his sophomore year, just trying to find his way there in South Bend. Mike, there's a lot to get to. I'm talking, of course, about Mike Golic Jr. I don't have your Twitter handle in front of me right now. What is it?
Mike Golic Jr. I made that switch years ago away from my old football number to actually just having it be my name. So shout out to, I think it was Jamie Sire at ESPN that helped me, I think, get off the schneid on that one. So good friend award for her.
Oh, that is awesome. It's funny because when I first got my Twitter handle, Sports Illustrated set it up for me, and they made it SI_Ross Tucker, which was fine until I wasn't there anymore. And when I went to switch to Ross Tucker, somebody already had it. So I have to be Ross Tucker. I even reached out to that guy one time to buy it from him, and he never got. He's a finance editor. It's like, dude, you what do you know about you know nothing about finance if you don't at least get back to me and say, well, how much are you offering? You know,
right?
Like
leaving money on the table.
101.
Too funny.
All right, so I want to get into a couple things. We're going to talk NFL and college, probably talk college for Monday before Notre Dame and Ohio State. But, I spent so much time this week, Wednesday with Nate Tice and Thursday with Greg Cosell, previewing these games this weekend, the divisional round, and we're all excited about it. And later on in the show, I'm going to pick my winners for each game and break down each game as I see it. I feel like I kind of gave short shrift this week to the teams that just lost. Because what happens is, after the regular season, I do a power rankings on Tuesday. But then once that's over, I'm done. So then this week, I didn't really talk that much about the teams that lost, And I think there's some really interesting stuff there. And I want to start with the Pittsburgh Steelers, because there's a couple different unique aspects of it. By the way, it was so fun to be on the broadcast with your dad. I was on sideline. Your dad was in the booth. It was great. Real quick, you do know what the word mercurial means, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure mercurial is very hot and cold, can kind of range widely in responses and emotions.
Love it. Thank you. The reason why that came up is because I used the word mercurial on the broadcast to describe George Pickens, because I didn't think you could say on national radio, pain in the ass. You know what I mean? I didn't think that would go over that well. So
they probably
I said
frown upon that.
And Ryan Radke, the play-by-play, and your dad were giving me all kinds of crap for using a quote-unquote Princeton word or a big word. And I thought, well, what other word could I use in that situation? And then the next morning, I said to my daughters, 11 and 12, do you guys know what mercurial means? They had no idea. Then I asked my wife, Mike, and she didn't know. I thought, okay, that's bad. You can't say something on a broadcast for radio or TV if my wife, who has her MBA from Kellogg, doesn't know what the word means. And I realized the only reason we even know what the word means is because we use it in sports a lot to describe guys that are like George Pickens.
It's so true. It's penultimate's another one that we use a lot because of sports. Stave is a word, is another one of those sports words that only gets used when you're getting ready to stave off elimination. So I didn't realize it, but mercurial absolutely needs to be added to that list, because you're right. What's the point of doing it if the people we're talking to have no idea what we're saying?
That would be a fun show sometime if we just used words. If we just talked about words that are so commonplace in sports that we think it's commonplace in society, but it's anything but. You're right. Stave. Those are two off the top of your head, penultimate and stave. I didn't give them a heads up on this. All right, so let's talk Steelers twofold, okay? Number one, my least favorite thing in what we do is when people just bang the drum on the problem over and over again without ever offering a plausible solution. The Steelers quarterbacks have not been as good as the quarterbacks for the other teams in the AFC, like Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, blah, blah. We all know this, okay? How do they fix it, Gojo? Do you have any idea how to fix it?
No, and I don't think I think the problem with that is there aren't ready solutions that are easily available. Like I think I saw the other day that they might be the betting favorite to land Aaron Rodgers, and they could also be a team that maybe picks up the phone and talks about Kirk Cousins, but that would really be mixing up the bag for a short-term solution, when in actuality, the difficult problem the Steelers face goes all the way back to when they were going through the end of Ben Roethlisberger's tenure, which is they forsake their future and trying to go and be proactive about the quarterback position for the feelings of an all-time superstar and a Ring of Honor guy in their franchise at the end of his career there. And so when you do that, and then you miss when you finally go after the first-round quarterback in Kenny Pickett, and you try and bring some guys over like a Mitch Trubisky or anything like that, and it doesn't work out when you mishandle that position so much. Now it puts you at a disadvantage because Mike Tomlin, culture-wise, is worth, as we've seen, double-digit wins almost every season. So you're not in a great position to draft a guy right now. As we just documented, most of the quarterbacks you can go after this offseason are going to be younger guys. Like maybe they're a team that would swing a little bit more for a Sam Darnold and take a chance even after the last couple of games. But nothing that I've just said to you sounds like the ready-made antidote for Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson being in the division with you.
And by the way, even if they lost a lot of games one year and had a high pick, it could be a year like this where people are not convinced that Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders or any of these guys are really all that. Heck, the year they did draft the quarterback, they got the only first-round quarterback. They had the pick of any quarterback they could have wanted in the entire draft. They took Kenny Pickett. They thought he was the guy. He wasn't. I'm with you. I don't think there is a solution. I will say this, though. I was thoroughly disappointed by their defense in that game. You know, that's where they invest a lot of money and resources. That's where they got a lot of big-name, high-priced guys, and they got their you-know-what's run over.
Yeah, no, I do think there are more problems than just quarterback on that team by the end. And listen, we heard some of the angst coming out of the Pittsburgh locker room about maybe someone on defense that people didn't feel was as reliable and accountable. TJ Watt was a bit banged up in that game. Cam Hayward, while he still played good ball during the season, is getting longer in the tooth. And so you're going to turn over sooner than later some big names on that defense. You've been able to go and manage that. But I think, Rob, like the overall problem here, Ross, is the Pittsburgh Steelers right now are dedicated to a brand of football that in their division cannot compete with how dynamic the other two teams. Now, I should say that they were better than the Bengals for the majority of the year, so clearly that's the case. But assuming they get right and re-elevate the ship, they can't score as dynamically as a team like Cincinnati can. They certainly can't keep up with an offense that can throw as much at you as the Baltimore Ravens can when it gets to January, February football, not winning games in the regular season that we know Pittsburgh's more than capable of.
Also wanted to ask you about the Chargers and Justin Herbert. You know, he's in a tough spot now too, where we all know he's a good quarterback. I think he's a top 10 quarterback. Is it fair, though, to not consider him among the elite guys based on lack of team success in the postseason? Is that fair, or is that unfair that we do that to guys?
Like fair, I always say fair is a place where they judge pigs. Like it's the reality of how we stratify quarterbacks that some part of postseason success is going to be there. Now, 2 games is hardly, again, talking about the smart guy angle of this, 2 games is hardly a sample size worth drawing massive conclusions from, but it's all we have at this point. And through different coaching staffs and different eras now, it's been a similar result when you get there. I would still say, listen, physically, we know he is on par with any of those guys that we just mentioned. He's one of the most uniquely gifted players in the NFL. And this year, it was a season where he took down the turnovers, but took up the sacks, held the ball longer, all these things that could be a product of Greg Roman's offense and how viable that's going to be in the future based on what we've seen as a shelf life for that in the past with Lamar Jackson. But I think he would be just outside of elite based on everything. Like, yes, he's put up incredible statistics overall, but when it comes to the stuff that we expect out of these guys, part of that does bleed into the postseason. And so if we said right now, hey, Justin Herbert is not, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, I don't think that's the worst thing we've ever said about anyone. I think it's really hard to be one of those 5 guys that are the actual world beaters in this league at that position.
What's going to happen with Sam Darnold now, Mike?
I think in the best case scenario, if you're everyone involved, I think Sam Darnold, I've said this for a while, you've been around the NFL enough to know grass isn't always greener out there. You don't have a lot of environments like you have in Minnesota to go and get the best football out of you the way that they were able to this year. And so, J.J. McCarthy is coming off an injury, didn't get any time to develop his rookie year. I know they were excited about him, but unless this is the second coming of Patrick Mahomes, he may need a little bit more time to bake and get ready here. And so if you want Sam Darnold, if you can get him back on a short-term deal, maybe something, just south of what we saw from Baker Mayfield or right around that range, and then you ride it out for a year, maybe two more. And if JJ's at the head of schedule, then you're going to have to eat some of that and live with it. But getting him there to kind of continue to be that bridge could work. But we also talk about it. And the one thing that keeps weighing on my mind is there are so many quarterback needy teams this offseason. Is someone like we talked about with Pittsburgh just going to have to mix up the bag? I think the best case would be for him to stay and be a part of that bridge to the future in Minnesota. But I could also understand, hey, financially, that could be a lot to turn down even for a guy that's already made a bunch of money.
Playoff season is here, and the only thing better than game day predictions are the foods that come with them. Introducing Tums Fantasy Foodball Pool, brought to you by Tums, America's #1 antacid brand, and DraftKings. Each week leading up to the big game, turn football into foodball by building your best game day plate for a shot at winning a share of $40,000 in cash prizes. Inspired by game day bites and tailgate treats, join the Tums foodball action during this playoff season's most heartburn-inducing time. Visit DraftKings.com/foodball between January 6th and February 9th to enter for free and select your game day plate before the start of each playoff round. Age and eligibility restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See terms at DraftKings.com/TumsFoodball. When you feel the heat of the game, don't let heartburn keep you on the sidelines. Try Tums Chewy Bites with a tasty outer shell and soft center for fast relief of heartburn, acid indigestion, and upset stomach. Check out Tums Gummy Bites, featuring a soft and easy-to-chew format for fast relief of occasional heartburn, acid indigestion, sour stomach, and upset stomach. Both available at Amazon, Target, and other major retailers nationwide. And for more heartburn relief fun, be sure to follow Tums at Tums Official on Instagram and TikTok. They're football's funniest family duo, and I should be seeing both these guys tomorrow in Kansas City. NFL Super Bowl champs Jason and Travis Kelce team up to provide next-level access to life inside the league in their hit show, New Heights. Plus, they got stories from their combined 21 years in the league, off-field shenanigans, can't miss A-list interviews. Listen and watch New Heights wherever you get your podcasts. Here's what's really cool. If you want to skip the ads, catch new episodes early, and unlock access to exclusive episodes of the show, join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. I've been telling you guys all year that Smirnoff is an official sponsor of the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. And you already know, because I've been saying it, that they're an official vodka partner of the NFL and Super Bowl 59. Here's the deal with Smirnoff, right? It's the world's #1 vodka, but it's not crazy expensive like some of these other vodkas. And so many good mixed drinks that you can use with vodka. Right now, they've partnered with Complex, letting fans get their hands on some amazing items, handpicked by celebrities. You can get it for $12.99, some of these things, just like a bottle of Smirnoff. That is awesome. Please drink responsibly. Smirnoff #21 vodka, distilled from grain, 40% alcohol by volume. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York. Pricing is at sole discretion of the retailer and may vary by state. Please not share with anyone under legal drinking age.
Tuck's Takes.
All right, Ross, some news first. Ravens offense coordinator Todd Monken, he interviewed the Jacksonville Jaguars on Thursday, and he's going to do so with the Bears today, Friday.
And I replied to the first time I saw this on social media, Adam Schefter. I replied with my Twitter handle, at Ross Tucker NFL. It just feels like the process is still flawed, right? Let's say Monken makes a lot of money for a coordinator. Let's say he makes $2 million. If you got a head coaching job, I would say it's probably these days at a minimum like $8 million a year. Let's just say the bare minimum $6 million a year. And let's just say a 5-year deal. That's $30 million fully guaranteed for his family. So that not only takes care of him for the rest of his life, but that changes the trajectory for his kids and maybe even his grandkids. I mean, that is a significant amount of money that would be huge for the financial security for future generations and for the lifestyle that he's going to live the rest of his life. It would be crazy if he didn't make sure he was very prepared for those interviews, right? Like very prepared. And then he does it on Thursday with the Jags, today with the Bears. Meanwhile, Thursday in the NFL, you're usually going over third down stuff and blitz pickup stuff. Friday, it's more short yardage and goal line and red zone. But the hay is not in the barn yet. I do kind of like that, Kellen Moore for the Eagles is doing them on Saturday more when the game plan's all kind of in. But the process is still flawed. Like, we still got to be better than this, I feel like.
The Steelers, they make a move at quarterback. They're signing Skylar Thompson.
Well, they didn't have any quarterbacks under contract. So I think they felt like they had to do something for the offseason, for like OTAs and stuff, and for any workouts that they have. Skylar Thompson kind of gives them a baseline guy that may or may not be the number 2. Could probably be a number 3. He's been number 2 for the Dolphins for a while. But it probably says a lot that the Dolphins kind of moved on from him. At any rate, yeah, he's not going to be the option for the starter, I would think, for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Want to know which team is going to win every single game on Sunday? Then listen up.
All right, let's get into some games. We're starting first. The Houston Texans traveling to Kansas City to play the Chiefs. Game you might know a thing or two about.
Yes, yes. Now I'm waiting for it. I was waiting for it now. Now it's like a thing. Now you have to say it if it's the game I'm calling. Why did you hesitate? You hit me with the hezzy.
Because I was going to continue, like, I could tell, like, I was going to move on from, like, I have the past few weeks. I could tell in your face you were waiting for it. So I just gave you what you wanted.
Yeah, I was waiting for it. Now that I know it's like a thing, before I thought you were just being redundant and that you didn't have any other way to say it. Now I realize it's like our trademark when you tee me up on the game I'm calling. So listen, the statistics for the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes in the divisional round are absolutely absurd. In fact, if you look up Patrick Mahomes 6-0 in the divisional round, Patrick Mahomes is better in the divisional round than any quarterback has ever been in any other playoff round ever. I mean, it's crazy, crazy impressive. Meanwhile, the Texans have never won a road playoff game. The Texans have never gotten past the divisional round. So a lot of things would have to happen for the Texans to be able to win this game. What I would tell you is the things that jump out to me. And you can say it's really probably about any underdog that's on the road, right? I think it probably fits. But get off to a fast start. Get off to a fast start. Play with a lead. And then the edge guys and the corners, really the whole defense for the Texans, they have to be elite. And they are. But they have to be difference-making players, right? So you need to see guys like Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, abusing the tackles for the Chiefs. I happen to think they'll keep Joe Thuney at left tackle, but I guess we'll see. You need to see those guys just winning over and over again, bruising and battering Patrick Mahomes, getting a strip sack, going ahead and causing an interception. Maybe it's Stingley Jr., maybe it's Lassiter, maybe it's Kalen Bullock. That's what has to happen. Texans have to win the turnover battle. And then C.J. Stroud's going to have to play really well. And I think, in fact, use his legs a little bit like he did last week. He was very good against pressure last week, did a nice job using his legs. That is the best chance for the Texans. All that being said, man, look, when I do these picks, I always tell you guys, I make the picks based on what I think is the most likely. Most likely is the Chiefs win. I do think they'll hold tough, though. 24-17 KC.
We've got a Dan off. The Commanders are at the Detroit Lions. What are you thinking there?
I think I'm going to make this my DK pick of the week, presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. This would be a crazy impressive win by the Commanders if they're able to get this. Short week in Detroit, which is going to be an absolute buzzsaw. That place is going to be going crazy. Now, the good news for the Commanders, Jaden Daniels is calm, cool, collected. He's got tremendous poise. But after a bye week, I just feel like the Lions are going to come roaring out of this game. The only way the Commanders win the game, in my mind, is if they win an absolute shootout, like 34-31. I just don't see that being the case. I think the Lions score 31 or 34. I don't think the Commanders get there. I'll go 31-20. Detroit Lions get the win. 31-20 over the Commanders in a really fun game.
Next up, the LA Rams are traveling to Philadelphia to play the Birds.
So it's like the third time I've said this now, but I'm going to say it again. And I said this on the Ross Report, Jack, which I always do, talking about the Eagles on social media, at Ross Tucker NFL, Twitter and Instagram and wherever else. You know, the Rams had to put so much into that game last week against the Vikings. Such an emotional game after everything that had happened in Los Angeles with the fires. You know, they really felt like they were representing the LA Fire Department, the people of LA. But it was still a Monday night game. Still ended up being on the road. I don't know what time they got back to LA. Now they're going on the road again to Philly, East Coast. Here's the deal. It looks like the weather's going to be bad. I mean, that's not good for Matthew Stafford, who's a West Coast indoor guy. Not good for the LA Rams. I mean, I don't see it happening. I'll go 23-17 Eagles, and there's a chance that the Rams run out of gas and the Eagles actually win by more than that later on in the game.
And we wrap up the divisional round. Two fan bases that love and respect each other. The Ravens at the Bills.
Clearly my game time game of the week. Huge fan of the Game Time app. Just make sure you're using that code Ross. Here's what I want to say about this game. This game is not a referendum on the careers of Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. They are both fantastic. They are both more than deserving of the MVP this year. But somebody has to lose this game. And it's hopefully going to be an awesome game. It could go either way. But ultimately, I just don't want people to say, first of all, I don't want to act like it's a hugely disappointing season for whichever team loses and whichever quarterback loses. And I also don't want people to extrapolate one sample size game, one game, into the entire careers for both of these players. I will say that you should download the Game Time app, create an account, use code Ross for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. So again, create an account and redeem code ROSS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Love the all-in pricing, lowest price guarantee, and the Game Time ticket coverage. 24-23 Ravens. I think we're done here.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Make sure to also check out Even Money, Fantasy Feast, and College Draft, all on the DraftKings Network, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.
Shout out myfrontpagestory.com. By far the best Valentine's Day gift for your significant other that I'm aware of. If you're aware of a better Valentine's Day gift, let me know and I'll buy it for my wife. myfrontpagestory.com. Remember, I'll send you a signed autograph if you get one of these. Just gonna make sure you email me, ross@rosstucker.com. Backofficescheduler.com, humanheadnyc.com, Sporticulture, and the always delicious Pizza Boy Brewing.